a company that is always in the news, always on the forefront of all of our minds, and probably a part of each of our everyday lives. So I'd like to welcome Michael Locke, who's Vice President of Americas from Google.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Where's the clicker? All right. So thank you for inviting me to All About the Cloud. When you invited me 4 years ago, it was called the On-Demand Conference, right? We haven't even used the word cloud, yet. So let me start by saying I have some bad news for people at the All About the Cloud conference. The cloud is so last year. Really, it's so last year. Heck, it's so last decade, right? I mean, go to Mark Benioff isn't here today, but if Mark was, you don't hear Mark talking about Salesforce.com as a cloud company anymore, right? The cloud is so last year, But there's some good news. The cloud is actually now the infrastructure, and it is being supercharged, by a whole new set of technologies to make the cloud better and better. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. And oh, by the way, the leadership in the cloud and in the supercharged is not businesses. I know probably 80% of the time at this conference is talking about, hey, how do we build enterprise applications, on the cloud and with these supercharged technologies. The leader in this space is the consumer. So let me start with a story. This is my daughter. Unbelievably, she's 13 years old. She's a singer, which is bad news in our family because we're a sports family. We actually know nothing about singing or drama or all that, kind of stuff. But my daughter overcomes her poor parents in this area by using the cloud. She doesn't call it the cloud, she calls it the internet, to actually, help her the way she sings and the way she performs. Do we have anybody in the drama or singing, world out there? It's the toughest business in the world. You think that cloud-based, technology business is tough. Try being a singer. The whole thing is about the audition. The whole time, imagine if we're selling our cloud-based technologies, we get like a month to try them out with people, right? Here's what it's like if you're a singer. You get a resume, a headshot, and 2 minutes of singing. That's how they decide whether they want you or not, right? This is how my daughter, actually uses all this technology. And I just looked over her shoulder 2 weeks ago and found out she's using the cloud better than I am, right? So first of all, the old way you used to do, if you had to do auditions, is you went to your piano teacher who gave you who had a book of songs, and you picked one of those songs, and everybody went to the audition, they sang the same song. Right? Oh, let's sing this show tune. Let's sing this from Annie. Let's do this. Here's how my daughter does it. First of all, she goes to Facebook and she asks her friends what songs they think would be good for her to sing. Right? And she'll even sometimes post a little snippet of her singing, on Facebook. And then they will vote and say, hey, Rachel, I think you ought to sing, this. Then when she does that, she goes to Google. She Googles the song and she finds all the information, out about that. Typically, unbelievably, it's kind of she mostly ends up on YouTube, where frankly all the songs and all the videos, are under there. Then she goes to this site that's called musicnotes.com, where you can actually download the sheet music, right? So you can actually the beauty of it is she can pick a song that was published last month, right? Because the sheet music is now available on the internet, and she can take that to the to the audition. It gets even crazier as I watch her do this thing. I'm driving her to if you're in this business, you don't actually just go to the audition, you have to go to have a coach. We have a voice coach, we got a vocal stylist coach, we're going to see the vocal stylist actually here in the city. And so I'm going, how are you going to figure out, you just picked a new song, how are you going to make all this work? Right, she takes the music, she's streaming onto her mobile phone the YouTube version of the song. She hasn't even bought it on iTunes, yet. And she takes that into her vocal stylist and they practice the song. Here's where it gets even crazier in the digital world. They record the recording session, right, in digital with the teacher teaching her how to sing and her singing. She doesn't, and again, they record it, they don't hand her a CD. They take the digital thing and they put it in the cloud, and on the way back home from the vocal styling session, she's got the music of her singing that song on her mobile phone, right? I'm going like, holy, gee, wow. I mean, this is what consumers, this is what 13-year-olds are doing, with the cloud, with the internet, right? And that's not just that. That's a whole bunch of technologies that she just used in order to, if in a business person, I go, wow, you've really shortened the production cycle. From the time you had a concept of singing, first of all, you got your idea from social. Secondly, you really collapsed the production process, I mean, I was the old man saying, hey, don't change your song. I mean, it's just too close to the audition. She's going, no, let's change it. Let's go fast. Let's do things differently. And I'm realizing, I'm the old one, she's the young one, right? So, and they teach me, all my kids teach me stuff each and every day, but that stuff. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk to you a few here about lessons from Google that we've learned in our cloud-based business. I run the business-to-business cloud-based business, Google Apps, that there. Obviously, we've learned a lot of things at Google in our consumer-based business. Let me talk about some of the macro technology trends, the things that are supercharging the cloud. I'll revisit why the cloud will win. I'll give you some good news for all those people who really, inside there. And I'm going to talk about, if I got to a few minutes, how this impacts, how it's impacting all of our work in the future. Does that make sense? I don't really have time for questions, but if I talk real fast, maybe I can get some questions in. That's there. So lessons from Google Enterprise. So Google Enterprise, this is a slide here. You would know Google Enterprise, the group that I run at Google. You would know them as Gmail for Business, right? Or Google Apps. So Gmail, Calendar, Instant Messaging, Docs. You can take that stuff and use in your consumer world for free and run ads on the right-hand side. If you want to use it for your business, then you come to my group and you license that technology to use it inside your business. We don't publish stats on this, but it is the second largest cloud-based, business-to-business software, business-to-business SaaS company in the world. It's been an incredible run. And I've learned a ton. I've been there 7 years, I've learned a ton, but I'm going to give you, I think, since there's no fee for this speech, I'm going to give one lesson. I think if we, not 10, I could give you 10 lessons, but give you one lesson. Here's the lesson I've learned most of this. The cloud, and it's not about paving the old goat path. It's not about taking the software that we used to have in the client-server on-premise world and putting in the cloud and giving that exact same functionality. It's not. I mean, you can do that. It's generally cheaper. It's a little bit better. But the savings are 10 and 20%. And in today's world, you can't care about 10 and 20%. You've got to make a quantum leap in what you're doing. It's talking about taking the things that the cloud, that mobile, that social, that all these things have to offer and actually make better applications. I'll give you an example of that. So we have this little product called Google Docs, right? And then I remember so cloud-based spreadsheets, word processing, and presentations. I remember when we produced it, they said, hey, Locke, why don't you sell this? And I said, well, who do we have to compete against? Oh, Microsoft. Okay, what kind of share do they have? Oh, 98%. I go oh, good. So if our strategy is, hey, make a cloud-based version, make Excel, for the cloud, I go, I don't think that's going to win. And we proved that out. You have to provide stuff that's better. The reason why people use Google Docs, Google Spreadsheets, all that kind of stuff, is that it could do something that Excel couldn't do. I mean, it still blows people's mind when we demo that product. People go like, wait a sec, are there two people editing the spreadsheet at the same time? Yeah, of course. It's the cloud. It's on a server. Of course people can do it at one time. But that's the epiphany that you've got to make. If all you're doing is transferring the old functions, the old features, to the cloud, I think we're missing the point. Because what you're going to do is going to get a slightly cheaper, less labor-intensive version of what we used to have. So, does that make sense? Right, that's the number one lesson I've learned. And as I got asked to come down and speak to ISVs, I said, if I could leave you with one thought, do that. Think of all these technologies, and you have to actually create a different application. Do not pave the old goat path, right? It will not build a good business for you. Whew, all right. Okay, let me talk about these three macro trends. None of these trends are going to surprise you. I'm just going to tell you, some of the latest stats and maybe how Google's thinking about this. So the biggest one, here's the way the slide works. Marketing gives it to me this way. The cloud's the underlying infrastructure under this, and there are three really big trends that are happening on top of that. First and foremost, nobody should be surprised by this, mobile, right? Is there anybody here without a smartphone? Is there anybody here with more than one smartphone? Right? and a tablet and whatever. I mean, mobile is the fastest growing technology that we have ever seen on the face of the planet. Faster than radio, faster than television, faster than the PC internet itself. It's growing at 2 to 3 times the pace of the PC internet. You know this there. About 45% of all Americans now own a smartphone, right? That's up 14 points from a year before, right? By the time we sit at this conference next year at this time, you're going to see 60%, in my humble opinion, 60% penetration of smartphones in major Western democracies. And you're starting to see smartphones really take off in developing worlds. So here's what we're thinking about it at Google. Here's what we know. The internet will have more mobile users within a year than it has PC-based users. And we figured that out about 3 years ago, and it scared the heck out of us. Because we were like, we grew up in the PC internet. Hey, we designed our applications to work on 17-inch screens like that, or on a laptop like that Acer, that's right there. Now if you're at Google and if you're a product manager demonstrating a product, guess what you have to show first? How does it look like, on the 4-inch screen, right? Good. How does your product look like on the 4-inch screen? Is it good? All right, if that's good, show me how it looks like on a tablet, okay? And then after that, you can show us the 17-inch version, right? It's the exact opposite of how we used to build applications. People, remember, we used to say, hey, let's build the application. We make it rich and robust for the 17-inch screen, make it rich for this big browser, and then we put 2 mobile developers on it about 2 weeks before the product goes to marketplace. Like, oh, here's our mobile version, right? You actually, that's what we did, right? We had to back that up and say, this is what it is. And think about this, that's there. And even the great internet companies of today are struggling with this. Anybody use Facebook on their Android or phone? How are we feeling about that app? It's kind of okay, but you can't quite do the comments and do this, type of way. What it tells me about that application, is that, hey, what we thought about when we developed that application is we thought PC internet first, right? And of course they'll get there. LinkedIn, the one I'm a big LinkedIn user, I can never, the whole mobile interface doesn't quite, work for me. It's there. And you're starting to see, of course, now the people who are mobile first, and all these are pretty much happening in the consumer world, are really gaining a lot of traction. Because indeed, the whole world is accessing their computers, their information, first and foremost from mobile devices, right? That certainly happens. The younger you are, the more that is true. The more, frankly, that you're in a developed world, in a non-developed world, that's true. That's there. So you have to think, mobile first. This stat says that smartphones and tablets exceeded PC sales in 2011. That's such a passé stat. It blew it away. We sold about 375 million PCs as an industry last year. We sold 450 million smartphones. Plus, Apple sold a few of these tablets, right? That's there. What's it going to look like in 2012? On top of that, almost all the mobile use is a new screen. The PCs that we're selling are mostly replacements. What we know at Google, there's about 1.5 billion PCs connected to the internet. Yeah, and you know what that's growing at? About GDP, which unfortunately, not too good right now, right? That's there. There's about 1 billion mobile devices connected to there. So it's only like a 500 million, behind, and that's growing. Smartphones are growing at 75%. Tablets, you can't even calculate their growth. It's like, it's going to take it over pretty darn quick, right? So if I left you with one lesson earlier that says, hey, make a new application, don't pave the old goat path. The next lesson I'll give you is think mobile first, And actually, when people say and that's what's winning these days. People don't go, if you go to your end users and you go to your customers and say, we have a cloud-based application, oh, that's good. That'd be good. That'll sell you a few units, right? But I got a mobile application. Oh, I got something that's going to help you in the field, right? Oh, runs on iOS, it runs on Android. That's here now. That's what this conference is. I'm pretty sure by next year when I come, it'll be the mobile cloud. All about the mobile cloud or something like that, right? It's the biggest thing we've ever seen. Number 2, social. Anybody hear about this social thing? This little company going public, this month, and all this kind of stuff. 901 million users, on Facebook. Google+, the fastest growing internet application ever with more than 100 million users. LinkedIn, YouTube's the social aspects of YouTube, the comments, the people connecting together, more than 1 billion users, of YouTube. What we think is happening at Google, the third wave of the internet is about people and creating relationships. The first wave was about putting information online. The second wave was about building a transaction engine so that we could buy books and pay our parking tickets and vote and do all that kind of stuff online. The third wave of it is about building real relationships online. I'll tell a little quick story about that. That picture of my daughter I showed there before. For a while, she had a boyfriend. She doesn't make a father happy when she's 13. The good news about this boyfriend is he lived 5 hours away in Grass Valley, California. We live, in the Bay Area. People know where Grass Valley is? I mean, it's freaking out there. So first of all, I'm kind of happy. I'm going she's got a boyfriend, but 5 hours away, it's kind of good, isn't it? There can't be that much, stuff going on there. And I go, how can you have a relationship with somebody who lives 5 hours away when you're 13, you have no car, you can't drive, you can't do any of that kind of stuff? Well, she has an online relationship with him, right? And then I started to go, she talks to him on Facebook, she texts him, she Skypes, she does, and people can do that. Anybody in the room know somebody who's actually married now or with a significant other that they met online? Right? Before that used to creep you out, didn't it? Hey, why don't you go to bars of normal people and find a date, Come on. You mean people online? That's so seedy. It's like mail order, husband. Well, it turns out, that's not a bad idea, right? We can actually develop relationships. So if we can develop the most intimate relationship that we're thinking about in our lives, do we think we can develop business relationships? Right? Of course we can. That's there. So when you think about the wave of applications you're thinking about building, not only do they need to be cloud-based, and not only do they have to rock on iOS and Android, but they have to be social, right? They have to be social. Last big trend, local. And I'm stealing these kind of acronyms from John Doerr, at Kleiner Perkins, who calls this Mo so low. But here's what's happening in local, right? We are taking the entire physical world, Google's doing a lot of this, and recreating it in the virtual world. Let me say that again. We're taking the entire physical world and recreating it in the virtual world, right? And Google Maps is the leader of this thing. Remember when Google first started Google Maps, it's it's like a better MapQuest, right? It's better, it pans better, it's cleaner, it's less latency, all that kind of stuff. Then we put satellite imagery on top of it. So now you could go look at your house, and you go, hey, there's my house. Roof needs fixing. Neighbor's swimming pool's bigger than mine. It was interesting, but not that interesting. That's there. Then they came into my office and they showed me Street View. Google sends these cars around all the world, not without some controversy, right? And now you can see the picture of the front of your house. Now we're taking trikes into museums and hotels and airport lounges so we actually can go inside the building and map that for you, right? So that's all happening. The physical world is being created. We're taking all the businesses. It's actually a lot harder than what you think. Taking all the businesses and mapping them and putting them on top of the internet. So you have a complete view of the physical world in the virtual world, right? That's pretty cool. That's there. Now all these things kind of mash up together. It's not like these aren't one trend and you do this thing, and the most advanced consumer-based cloud, mobile, local social applications use all these things, that are there. Because, what makes local so powerful is we're all carrying around a supercomputer in our pocket that has a GPS on. Google actually announced yesterday, something that we have been talking about at cocktail parties as people in the industry for the longest time. You're going to be able to now use this phone when you walk out the front of this hotel, right? And you check, Google Place and say, where are restaurants? Near here, you'll be able to find the restaurants there. And then we're going to merge it together with our couponing business and say, where are the restaurants where there are specials on pizza, right? That's all possible, right? It's possible because A, we know where you are, and B, we have all this information that we can get to you. And all that information is stored, in the cloud. So, heck, I could almost go there. What did I just tell you here? I told you, if you're in this business, you've got to be thinking about The applications that you need to build are not the old ones. They are the new ones. And oh, by the way, those new ones, they have to take advantage of all these trends. That's what we're trying to do. When we think about Google Enterprise, that's what we're trying to do. Say, how do we infuse all the Office applications with social, right? Those are like, we use, any Gmail for business users in the audience? There's probably a few of you here, right? You're like, there's no urgency flags in Gmail for Business, right? You should have urgency flags. Really? Why don't we just put urgent in the title? I don't know. But like, we could either build urgency flags and 7 levels of urgency flags, or we could say, hey, how do we infuse these things with social so that you can watch how people are working together and collaborate better? We're taking our applications and skating towards where we think the puck is going, and not probably infusing it with like 1,000 features that are from the on-premise versions that are there. And I encourage you to think about that. All right, I'm running over, so I'm going to skip a few pieces that are here. Why the cloud wins. The last speaker I thought did an excellent job. I don't even need to cover that, right? The cloud is going to win. I give you some bad news that it's passé, but the cloud is going to win because it radically lowers the cost, especially the public cloud, right? You get feature introduction, at consumer speed. I mean, you don't go to Amazon and go, hey, what version are they on? So you have to upgrade my Amazon. Okay, they changed the user interface. I wonder if Amazon's going to send me a course so that I can learn to use Amazon. It just changes, right? Changes a little bit each and every day, that's there. And that's a heck of a lot better than upgrading your SAP software every 10 years, right? As I always say that, Microsoft does a great, since I compete with Microsoft, it does me a great advantage. It names its products by the year, right? 2000, 2003, 2007, 2010. Like, but really, in the internet age, we're going to wait 3 years for freaking features? Please, don't tell that to my 13-year-old, right? It actually is, the cloud is more secure, right? Well, the cloud's beautiful, but it's not secure. Anybody hear that, Really? So this Tuesday, Patch Tuesday was at Microsoft. There's like 23 critical security vulnerabilities we have to patch. Well, not 23. 23 patches, 7 critical security vulnerabilities. That's what the cloud has to compete with. The cloud's it has to be secure. We have some way to go. But frankly, we all know the client server world we live in is a very insecure environment, that's out there. I mean, think about these patches that we do. We announce whether, I won't pick on Microsoft, but any of the client server vendors, they announce to the world, here are the following security vulnerabilities, right? You know what the average time to patch in corporate America is? 45 days. That's what I say. Hey, the door is open for 45 days. Burglars, come on in. Come on, this is secure? Oh, no, the cloud's not secure. Oh, well, shit. All that other stuff is really secure. The truth is we just lied about client server, security for a long freaking time. Right? Well, the cloud also wins because it accesses from any device. Even as but the beauty of this now is like, no matter what device I'm on, and now increasingly this is important because we're getting our computing on our smartphone and on our tablet, not on our PC. But that doesn't, in the future, we're having more types of devices, right? You're going to be getting, there's nothing that stops us. We're going to be getting, your applications and your data on your TV, right? We're not putting Microsoft Outlook on the Sony Bravia, right? We're not having it. We're not putting client software on these new wave of devices. We're going to have internet in our car, right? We're not putting a thick SAP client application in your car so that you can approve your purchase order, right? You're going to be able to access it from any device. Mary Meeker, at Kleiner is saying that, and I always can't quite believe her stats, but she says she expects 10 billion mobile devices to be connected to the internet within the next 5 years. And I was going, that's crazy. There's only 6.5 billion people on the planet. Well, turns out I got 3 devices, plus my TV, my gaming device is like, I think 10 billion's a little light. And you're going to have to be able to get applications from any space. And lastly, the cloud wins because it does enable a new set of applications that you can't do, that you can't possibly do. So my favorite one, I won't demonstrate it up here, I'm running out of time, but any Google Translate users in the audience? Like if you travel globally and you're unilingual like me, it's not quite all the way there yet, but now it's pretty amazing. You talk into this phone in English, and it comes out in Spanish. I mean, this is the stuff, again, that all those people in technology, we've been talking, we'll be able to do this, but it's kind of Dick Tracy, type stuff. We're perilously close to do that. And we're perilously close to solving that problem because of all these technologies. Why? We're carrying a supercomputer around in our pocket, right, with an awesome microphone on it, right, and a good-sized chip so that we can capture your voice. But you can't do English to Spanish translation on a 1 gigahertz dual, even we make this dual core. We got to ship that up to the cloud. We got to have an unbelievably huge set of computers pound on that, and then we got to ship it back down. But because we have the cloud, infinite computing power to do that, we have this great device in our pocket, and frankly now, pretty soon we're going to have, you know, pretty robust networks between that. I mean, this is a Verizon 4G phone in San Francisco. It rocks. You know, this is possible. The cloud isn't about, you know, we can't do that stuff with on-premise or private cloud type architecture. So if you're here and you need to go back and say, hey, you know Locke said the cloud's passé, but the cloud does win. There's just the big wins behind it, you know, are so big. Of course, there'll still be, you know, on-premise data centers, you know, still out there. Heck, there's still IBM mainframes. You know, when I go to New York, everybody's still running the damn banking system on COBOL. Of course, there'll be on-premise data centers. You know, that of course there'll still be PCs. But the predominant amount of computing will be done in the cloud. How do I know that for business? Because it works that way in the consumer world. Does anybody care what kind of PC they have in their den? Now, what you care about is how fast a network can you get to your PC. Like, what can I do? Can I upgrade it? Should I switch? Should I do all this kind of stuff? Like, every once in a while, I just change my PC in my den because it kind of gets kludged up with, you know, it's too much dust on it or whatever. But there's just no reason, you know, anymore. Almost everything we do with consumers now is in the cloud. I mean, I think I still put, you know, I still put my pictures on my, you know, I upload my, and I put them on my hard drive in my den, but of course, as fast as I can, I possibly upload them to a cloud-based service so they're there as well, right? So the consumer world, heck, if it's not 100% cloud-based, it's not 100% internet-based, it's 95%, you know, that's there. And business to business will follow that. It's just pretty damn slow. All right. This is about a 10-minute concept, and I got 3 minutes to talk, so I'm going to go real fast here on this. And I'm happy to take some questions afterwards or other thing. But all this has actually changed fundamentally how we work, right? So before we had this type of technology, you know, by and large, we worked alone. We designed computing systems to work alone. Heck, when I got into the business 25 years ago at IBM, heck, they didn't give everybody an office, but we sat as high a wall as you could get. Can I get a really high cube? You know, and could you stick a PC in there so that I can work by myself quietly? Right? That isn't how the new world works. Right now, I come down to Google. I manage most of your offices there. We have no cubes. We just open it up. It's more important that we work together, not only as an individual, but across departments. Sales doesn't work only with sales. It works with marketing. It works with support. It works with engineering. You know, and even more important than that, in today's world, we don't even work within our company. Three-quarters of the meetings I got are with people that are not in my company. You know, partners, you know, suppliers, you know, customers, you know. So we have to, you know, the work of today is about working across companies and working together, not working alone. You know, that's there. Second big trend is it's not really about 9 to 5 anymore, as probably you have noticed. It's about working anytime. My wife says this is not 9 to 5 to any time. This is 9 to 5 to all the time. You believe that? You know, that's probably true, but it's not exactly true. You know, that's here. I mean, somebody sent me an email, somebody who worked for me yesterday, and they said, hey, I'm taking 2 hours off to go to my daughter's play or something. And I'm going like, God, that's so like, I remember getting an email like that 20 years ago, right? I mean, nobody I'm making the guy get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to talk to Hyderabad. I'm not worried that the guy is like taking 2 hours off to go to the PTA meeting, right? You know, it's made us a lot more flexible. Tomorrow morning, I have to do pancakes at my 8-year-old's, school. And, but it's really just between 9 and 11. I will go park in the parking lot at 6 o'clock, and I'll work and do all my work between 6 and 9, you know, because I can, right? You know, that's there. I can work, you know, at any time. And oh, by the way, I can work anywhere. This concept, my next concept here is office to anywhere. It used to be that, why do we even create offices? We had to create offices because that's how the resources were there to get your work done. You had the people that you worked with were at the office, so you had to go to the office so that you can meet with them. The data was there because the data was on pieces of paper and files, and then later in local file servers that were not accessible from outside the firewall, the video conferencing, the phone systems, there. Now I go to the office, only 5% of the people who work for me actually work in Mountain View, California. 95% of them work other places in the world. I go, why the hell am I going to the office, right? I can get, what, do I need the information there? Do I need a video card? Geez, I can do video conferencing live from my desk. Why do I go there? You know, I mostly go there to get away from my 3 kids, I think. And lastly, how work has changed is that we've gone from, and this is a reasonably new trend in the last 2 or 3 years, we've gone from, what Gartner is now saying is the work device of the last 30 years, the go-to device, if you had to get work done, was the PC, right? It's not that case anymore, right? It's really the smartphone, right? And the tablet, that's there. Or whatever else device that you have on there. People go, well, what device do you think is going to win? I said they're all going to win. We're going to have like so many different types of devices. Whatever you need to, like, I don't want to have any debate. Hey, the 10-inch tablet versus the 7-inch tablet versus the 5 versus the smartphone, the big smartphone versus the small phone. Here's what the thing is like. You get whatever you want. It's going to be like toothpaste. You walk in there and you go like, do I really need 800 different types of toothpaste in the supermarket, right? No, but it's kind of good, that it's there. So we're going to have all different kinds of devices, and you're going to pick the one that you want, right? That's there. And we're going to have all these different types of devices. And the applications that you all need to build need to think about that, So let me summarize as the clock just, ticked to 0. As you build these new wave of applications, what I said is like, think about these big trends that are supercharging the cloud. Do not pave the old goat path, right? Take advantage of mobile, of social, of local in those applications. And think about these, especially if you're building business-to-business applications, right? Think about these trends and say, hey, how do I make sure that the applications that I'm building allow people to work together across companies, not just inside your company, that they can allow them to work at any time, anywhere, and particularly on any device. I hope that's useful. I hope that this is good enough too so that I can get invited back, it was 4 years. I think I must have sucked, 4 years ago. I'm like, okay, we get locked. We'll get locked. We got nobody else. But thank you very much. I wish I could take questions. I'll stand at the side if people want to talk to me. I'm happy to help. Thanks very much and have a good conference.